How do I start this video? Yo, if you've been a subscriber of mine for the last 2 years, then you probably know that I don't have the best anime takes. I don't think it would be a hot take for me to say that shonen authors can't write romance in anime to save their lives. But for today, instead of me giving you my terrible takes again, I thought we should go over some of yours. So, a few weeks ago, I asked some of you guys on a community post to give me some of your anime hot takes. Everything from good takes to atrocious takes, anything was welcome. So, let's just start. This is going to be terrible. The first hot take of the day is from Stats3697, and they say, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is not all that. I mean, it's good, but people be acting like it's the second coming of Christ. I don't know if this is a hot take because I kind of agree. I need to substantiate this before people start clicking off the video. Please don't unsubscribe. I beg you, please. Is Full Metal Alchemist good? Yes, it is an extremely good show. It's one of the pioneers of the shonen genre. It deserved for the longest time to be at the #1 spot. Is it as good as people say it is? Not really. To me, I do think that Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood has a lot of interesting concepts. It's a pretty unique show. The premise is interesting. The characters are very interesting. Edward and Alphonse. Everything in Full Metal Alchemist works really well. But for me, the issue is I'm just bored 95% of the time when I watch the show. Not to say that the show is boring. I do not find the show boring. I just don't think it's as entertaining as some of the other shows that you would see deserve to be at #1. At the moment, Frieren is currently sitting at the top of my anime list at #1. I think Frieren is a show that deserves to be there. It's a much slower show, it has less action in it, but there's just a sense of the show hooks you in those first couple of episodes. That 4-episode premiere, it hooked me in a way that I wasn't hooked when I was watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Is it good? I need to state this very clearly. Full Metal Alchemist is a fantastic show. Is it as good as people say it is? I don't know. To me, I don't think it's a hot take for someone to say Full Metal Alchemist isn't as good as people say it is. But that doesn't mean that the show is terrible. It just means that me and a few other people have an opinion about it, that we think that it's not as good as the people who've propped it up to be #1 think it is. Please do not unsubscribe, I beg you. Second hot take of the day comes from Alex Blazer 4516. Alex says, DANDADAN will have zero effect on the greater shonen genre. In fact, it's probably the most shonen of shonens right now. Mind you, that does not make it a bad show. I actually do agree with this take. Will DANDADAN have any effect that lingers on the anime community or the shonen genre for long? No, because the premise of DANDADAN is too weird for it to be marketable for multiple shows to try the same thing. I think DANDADAN, what separates it from other, shonen or other series is that it's weird. It's extremely weird. It's what makes Chainsaw Man different as well. They're just very weird series from very weird mangaka, and they have this weird premise, and things that are weird, they tend to not sell as much. The reason Jujutsu Kaisen and Hell's Paradise worked so well is because of how you could say simple they are. The reason JJK and Hell's Paradise worked is because of how simple their structure is. There's nothing insane or crazy that sticks out to people. They have simple premises and they stick to them. And my brother said this to me once: humans are creatures of habit. We kind of tend to enjoy the same things. Will we probably get weirder shows going forward? Maybe, but that's like a 0.001% chance of happening. I don't doubt that it will happen, but will it happen now or soon or anytime? Nah. The show is great though. Go watch DANDADAN. It's probably the best show this season. Next hot take. This is a spicy one. One Piece is nowhere near the greatest anime of all time. Fans completely ignore the absolutely horrid pacing. The manga I can get behind, but oh lord. If you're talking in terms of the One Piece anime, anime, yes, I will agree that the pacing is trash. I dropped it because I couldn't keep up with how slow the pacing was, especially with Dressrosa. Around Dressrosa and Zoe is when I picked up the manga. I noticed how quickly I read through everything from Zoe all the way up until Wano, and I stuck with Wano all the way up until Egghead. The pacing is so much nicer with the One Piece manga. In terms of the anime, no. Well, if people are calling One Piece the greatest anime of all time, I'm looking at you funny. It is nowhere near the greatest anime of all time, but it is one of the greatest manga of all time. And it's one of the greatest because of how well its pacing is in the manga, not the anime. Do not watch the anime if you are interested in getting into One Piece. Next hot take from our Elixir: Mushoku Tensei isn't actually that bad. I agree. You know, I've been someone who constantly brings up the fact that I enjoy Mushoku Tensei. I think it's one of, you know, the greatest series, like anime light novel series like ever. Like, Mushoku Tensei is a fantastic show, and the only reason, you know, people don't like it is because of how gross the show can be. And I feel like that grossness tends to put people off to how well written a lot of the characters are, especially Rudius, with how Rudius's arc in the whole erectile dysfunction arc, like how it goes. It is such a beautifully written show, has very beautiful moments. It's just a good time all around, and I wish more people would put their biases aside because of the fact that the show can be gross. Mushoku Tensei just does things more naturally than other shows do, and I feel like a lot of people don't like looking at that because they're afraid of something. I do recommend you at least give Mushoku Tensei a chance, because underneath all that gross shit, it is one of the most beautiful stories like written. It's amazing as an isekai. It does everything right, and I wish more people would see that instead of this. This one is spicy. I like this one. Jujutsu Kaisen was trash from the very beginning. Do I think JJK was trash from the beginning? No, but I will admit, and I will say this personally, this is coming from my personal bias, my own opinion. The first arc of Jujutsu Kaisen is boring. It is too slow, and I do not enjoy it. Everything from hidden inventory up until, you could say, when, and this is a spoiler for Jujutsu Kaisen if you haven't like read the manga. Here's a spoiler warning up on the screen now. Cool? Cool. Everything up until Megumi getting possessed by Sukuna is probably when Jujutsu Kaisen really started to get extremely good for me. Everything up until then was when I started like actually looking at the series and going, actually wait, Gege is cooking something. And then, you know, the Shinjuku showdown happened, Gojo and Sukuna's fight happened, I enjoyed it, and then, you know, 236 happened, and then I didn't enjoy it from there onwards. But that's from a writing perspective, not from, you know, an overall enjoyment perspective. Was Jujutsu Kaisen trash from the beginning? I don't agree. Was Jujutsu Kaisen trash? Not really. It wasn't trash to me, but it was very boring in the start, and it only really ramps up if you're an anime watcher around season 2, if from a manga reader's perspective, from hidden inventory all the way up until chapter 236. It wasn't trash, it was just a boring slow start for me before I really started to enjoy it. Frequent subscriber of the channel and commenter of the channel, Mr. Regular 589 says, Attack on Titan is overrated. Why am I suddenly hearing pitchforks? I have very mixed feelings on Attack on Titan, because do I think Attack on Titan is a great series? Absolutely. It is a phenomenal series from the beginning. I can't even say it. It is a phenomenal series all the way up until Eren starts the rumbling. Everything after that is when I think people started writing for Isayama way too much, and they overlooked his writing. I can't really say like spoiler warning, because like the show's been over and the manga's been over for like 4 years. Show's been over for like a year now. If you're watching this, you probably already know Attack on Titan. Everything up until Eren starting the rumbling was when I thought, you know, this is the peak and pinnacle of Attack on Titan. This is Isayama at his best writing. And then things after Eren starting the rumbling started to happen, and that's when I started looking at the show and going, huh? What is this? what is this? You know, this to me, this wasn't the show that I started with when I first watched, you know, season 1. It was when I first got into Attack on Titan. This was not the ending that I expected. Eren crying about his adopted sister being with another man is something that I just in my brain cannot fathom, and I cannot understand why Isayama would do this, and shafting Historia like that. Everything just felt so pointless, if I could put it any other way, especially with the ending, because the island just gets destroyed anyway, and I just couldn't stomach that for the longest time. I just couldn't sit with that feeling and go, wait, this is the ending? This is the ending of Attack on Titan. I could not get behind it. Is Attack on Titan overrated? No, it isn't. My little sister... Alright, let's just move on. These two next hot takes are about the same subject, so I think it's best to just tackle them now and talk about. Das Don Bendino 9077 says, I think fan service is still an issue to the point it's driven people out of the medium. And Drunken Man Wise Man says, fan service isn't nearly as big of an issue as some people make it out to be. I think these are two great perspectives to have because they both speak on the same issue and, you know, show the different sides of it. To start with, let's talk about fan service still being an issue. Do I think fan service in anime is a bad thing? Not really, no. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think fan service, depending on how the author or, you know, depending on how the author and the animators of the show display the fan service in a series, I think it can be a good thing. Can it drive people out of the medium? Absolutely. Sometimes you see something that's way too much and you just have a pause and you're like, yeah, I don't think I want to engage with this. This is just too much even for me. I'ma take a step back. An example of this that I think like people can use is The Testament of Sister New Devil. If you're a light novel reader, this isn't about the anime, although the anime is fucking weird. If you've read The Testament of Sister New Devil's light novels, you can see how the fan service goes from, oh, this is just like ecchi stuff to make the show a bit more spicy, to full on, oh no, now they're just like, now it's just all these scenes are. It really takes you out of that flow state of being, you know, just something to add a little spice to the show, and something that's like, oh no, this is just full on now. This is just full on, so I'm not going to watch them, you know. So I do think that yes, fan service can be an issue to the point that it drives people out of watching anime or reading manga or getting invested in like stuff that's like this. It can just be too much for anyone. It's not a hot take to say that. Drunken Wise Man, fan service isn't nearly as big of an issue as some people make it out to be. I do also agree with this as well. I do think a lot of people that watch shows or watch anime and they see a fan service scene tend to become super hyperbolic about it, to the point that it can feel like, oh, you guys weren't really interested in the show. If you are interested in the show, the fan service won't really take you out of it. Me personally, I enjoyed Fire Force. Fire Force is a good series to me. I really enjoy it despite the fan service. I've never looked at the fan service in Fire Force and gone, this is actively ruining the experience for. I've never done that, because I feel like people who use that as an excuse are very cringe. And outside of that, sometimes fan service in shows, it can help boost the experience of the show. Food Wars, for example, is a show that heavily relies on its fan service. These people are eating this food and it can get hella weird because to them, they're like having orgasmic experiences while putting eggs in their mouth. It can be weird. That aspect of its fan service adds to the overall premise of the show, that these people are really enjoying the food. And in some instances, it can also like be a good thing, or it can be like a reward. For example, Chain Soldier or Mato Seihei no Slave. That show is a battle shonen. It's a show where, you know, cool fighting happens happens and the main character is part of the cool fighting, and at the end of an arc, after he uses his power, he gets a reward from whoever uses him as a slave. It feels like a reward to the reader as well, outside of seeing the cool fights in the series. It's that thing of like, oh, here's a reward for waiting after like all the cool fights happen. You know, you get a little bit of spice on your plate. Some shows are all about the spiciness of fan service. If you're interested in monster girls, Monster Musume has monster girls who show their titties. If you wanna see guys get with these monster girls, Interspecies Reviewer. It's not as big of a deal. It really isn't. I do agree with Drunken Wise Man when they say that fan service isn't as big of an issue as people say it is. If you are invested in a series, then the fan service won't take you out of your enjoyment that you are having with the show. Is it there and can it be distracting? Absolutely. But if you are genuinely interested in what you are watching, then the fan service is just a bonus for everyone who isn't you, if you just come for the story. Andy and Lele is a great couple. The Coffin of Andy and Lele. I haven't played that game. I don't want to play that game, but I do know that, you know, they're brother and sister. Sweet Home Alabama. Marcus Artemis says dubs now can be just as good if not better than some subs. Dress Up Darling and Frieren are my two examples. I do heavily agree with this. This is not a hot take. You know, okay, this is actually a hot take. People nowadays, there are a lot of people in the anime community who still think that subs are the superior version of watching an anime. And while I do agree that sub can be better performed because of the fact that it's native to the country, it's the origin of what you are watching. The origin of what you are watching comes from Japan, so it being dubbed by Japanese voice actors makes watching the show and watching the overall quality of the experience much better. But to say that dubs are bad, like people who still say dubs are bad nowadays, yeah, I think you need to like hop off your own dick for a second as a sub watcher and actually watch some dubbed anime that are like extremely good, because there are a lot of good dubbed anime nowadays. The Frieren dub is an insane dub. It is extremely good. It has amazing voice performances. Me personally, my favorite dub performance is still from One Piece's dub. I know a lot of people don't like One Piece's dub, but this is my opinion, so shut up. My favorite performance from the One Piece dub is during the Water 7 arc. At the end of it, Robin's I Want to Live. I think it is performed much better in the dub than it is in the sub. It has more emotion. The way the voice actor screams at the Straw Hats and tells them her desire, it is performed beautifully. And I feel a lot of people still overlook the fact that dubs can be great. Dubs can be amazing when, you know, when performed right. It can sometimes overshadow the sub if you're a sub watcher. So yes, in the current day, a dub can be better than the sub. Is it a hot take to say this? Absolutely. But I'm not shy to say that some dubs are better than some sub shows. If you've watched a dub of a sub show that you've already seen and you thought the dub was better, tell me in the comments. Tekken is good. I'm more of a Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat guy myself. And that is everything. Those are all the hot takes. If you did leave a hot take, I think I pretty much responded to a majority of the hot takes I got asked. But if I didn't respond to your hot take, you can keep it for the next one. If I do a second version of this, I don't know if I will, but if you did leave a hot take, if I responded to your hot take and you didn't like my opinion, tell me why in the comments. If you know, agree with any of the people here with their hot takes, tell me in the comments. Tell me why. We can have a discussion about it. The comments are always open. I don't actually ban anyone. And yeah, I hope you liked the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, like, leave a comment. You know, it always helps. Let's get the video to... I guess I can use this as a subscriber special. Let's get the video to 700 likes. And let's get the channel, hopefully. If you haven't subscribed yet, Let's get the channel to 10K. That's my end goal. Like, that's my current goal for the channel. Just get it to 10K. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Ah.